looking forward to this because, as I was saying before in the preview, right, when you meet those people which are incredibly inspiring, have a beautiful energy that you think, you know what, there's something about this guy or girl that just brings me in, that like draws me in, but I don't know what it is, but I know that it's there, right? So Arthur is one of these people for me, right? So we spent actually very little time actually talking together, right?
Now we're talking.
But now we're talking. So today, SpeakuP Monday is an award-winning, open format, deep dive Q&A, and the purpose of it is to unlock inspiration and motivation for other people. Now, Arthur, was it voted number one, the top one in the world
in organizational culture this year?
Organizational culture this year. Remember to put that.
Oh yeah. All right.
There you go. You got it. So now, and amongst that, we've got best-selling author. We've got what I call incredibly creative person that we're going to get into exactly what you do in a moment. So if today you're wondering, right, how do I unlock creativity? How do I live the best life that I'm capable of living? How do I live without limitations?
Come to Bali!
Come to Bali!
There you go, that's the key!
And speak to this guy, right? So today, if you find yourself in a rut, if you find yourself stuck, watch this. You'll be unstuck by the end of it, I guarantee you. So look, my name's Robert Ian Bonnick. I'm your host today. I'm a speaker, a coach, and an advisor, helping entrepreneurs, leaders, and coaches turn their story into impact and income by empathetically connecting with their audience, right? So that's what we do. So let's get into this. SpeakuP Monday live stream.
There you go.
All right. So my brother Arthur. So as I mentioned in the intro, right, I find you to be one of the most inspiring people that I've met in Bali, and I've met a lot of people in Bali, right? So really. So like, if I were to ask you, were you born like this, or like where did this creativity come from?
No. See, I was born a stupid kid. Yeah. That's what my teachers told me. They put me in the stupid kids class and everything. They compared me to all the other kids, and I didn't compare. I still to this day can't spell, even though I have written 13 books.
Wow.
Okay, but thanks to Bill Gates and the whole spell check thing, right? I mean, but back then it was tough. I was a little. Well, actually, I was always different. Okay, and I just never really kind of fit in with the normal people. So I guess when you're kind of a little bit different, creativity is an automatic thing. Yeah. Because you got to figure out how to stay kind of alive and not depressed because nobody likes you.
Yeah. but like, how did you get past that? Because when I was at school, it was always about the kids who are good at sport, right, which used to attract the best groups, and then
and the prettiest girls,
right, and the prettiest girls.
That.
Yeah, tell me about it. They were my best friends. Cause I was too shy to have guys who are friends. So until I played sport, but here's the thing, so it's so easy for kids to go the way of depression and I don't fit in and I'm the outcast, not the outlier, because outlier, as we know now, is a great thing, but outcast doesn't have the same connotations, right? So then how do you as a kid, with all the stuff that you got going on and you're different to other kids, like how did you stop yourself from going into depression?
The good thing about it was I was not the only outcast. So you know how all the, like the sports guys and then the kind of the stoners and, all these other guys, and there's all the normal kids. Well, there were all the other outcasts, and so we just kind of hung out together, right? So we were the misfits.
Far out. And just got a little message on Instagram, which I'll get to in a second, about this. So, okay, misfit. So that word misfit. So if I were to tell you now or ask you now, so Arthur, the word misfit, knowing what you went through, like what comes up for you if I say, what is a misfit?
I'm still a misfit. I mean, the whole thing here, I mean, if you get normal, then you have a normal life, right? So, why would you ever want to be normal? Because, you want to have an extraordinary life. You can do, like, all kinds of crazy shit. Sorry, can I say that? Well,
you can say whatever you want, man. You can say that too. Drop the bombs! Drop the bombs!
Yeah! Okay.
Not those sort of bombs.
So what happens is that, first of all, I academically was challenged, okay, or at least according to my early grade teachers. And then there was one teacher in 8th grade that totally made a difference and actually made me believe that I actually had some brains, okay? And it was seriously, one teacher can make a huge impact in your life. So otherwise I might be like, welcoming you to McDonald's or something and asking you if you'd like to upsize your Big Mac or something, right? So because of one teacher, okay, I had the inspiration that, hey, maybe I'm not an idiot, and maybe I can do bigger things, okay? And and that just kind of gave me a bigger open door, okay? And the teacher, basically the teacher found my way of doing things and helped me to express my way in front of an entire class, so I was successful in front of the class instead of failing, even though I didn't get really great grades.
Wow. Open door, right? Just what you said, it's an open door. So if I say to you as well, like open door, what comes up for you?
Open door.
Open door.
I mean, for me, what comes up is opening doors. I mean, there's tons of doors, man. There's tons of doors. Okay, so the question is, you're gonna sit down, sit on the couch, relax, have a good time. It's like, it's so hard to do things, and it's like, it's so difficult, and people are rejecting me, and all kinds of stuff. Or you're gonna open the door. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's open the next one. I mean, that's what it means to me.
Got it. And that way of, it's almost like what comes up is like the Wright brothers, right? So right, the Wright brothers trying to learn, flying a plane, you're nuts, you're crazy, it's never going to work, it's not physically, even using physics, possible to fly. And they kept on doing it and 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 doing it, and eventually they had success. So this resilience that was built up. So for you, resilience, like what part has that played in your life? Or literally it's always just come to you?
Okay, so well, first of all, let's look at brain processing, right? Ooh, there you go, okay? So first of all, okay, a lot of the research that we've done goes to essentially why people do what they do in groups, right? Yeah. So let's say, for example, like, when I'm with you, it's so easy to just kind of like be crazy and stuff and do all kinds of crazy stuff and then see it. It doesn't matter that we're on camera because, you're like somewhere out there, right? Okay, but in other groups, you'll notice that you behave differently, right? Yeah. So part of that, okay, and part of the resilience element is your brain process, which is a genetic factor, by the way, okay? So there's two factors, okay? So one of the resilient brain processes, because the brain has what's called a genetic ambiguity relief process, right? Yeah. Okay, so ambiguity relief is how you get clarity. So the chaotic processing, which is me, okay, basically gets clarity through taking action, which means that in order to actually figure something out, you have to take action. Yeah. But guess what? Okay, when you're taking action to get clarity, you screw shit up, man. Okay, but the thing is that because you're consistently taking action, usually your screw-ups are not that big, and so therefore you're kind of fixing them as you go along and creating and recreating until you finally get to the end result, right? So sometimes nobody notices that you've screwed up, right? So that, so there's a lot of people, though, that I have met that have the same brain process as me, okay? And they think there's something wrong with them because, they're not that structured, they're not that organized, and, you got all these things, but that process is what literally helps you to be resilient, okay? It's one of the things that also helps you when somebody basically says, you're an idiot, to go, what? And then like 10 minutes later, it's like, whatever, let's move on, okay? And so you go on to the different ways that how you get clarity and how, and that affects also trust with people and all kinds of things, right? So and this is where also a lot of people, because they're chaotic processing, they just kind of do stuff, and then a lot of people don't trust them. Oh my gosh, this person's just jumping into things, and people think that you're kind of like, not careful or stuff like that. Well, sometimes you aren't, but that's not the point. The point is that everybody's got their own natural way of doing things, and sometimes we judge people.
Yeah. And
that's where mistrust comes in, because you're judging people based on your idea of common sense, not by connecting, and understanding other people's way of doing things, other people's how.
Got it. And look, guys, if you're just tuning in, maybe on Instagram or YouTube or whichever one, today we're talking with Arthur Carmazzi. Arthur Carmazzi, right over here. And I think I met someone as crazy, if not crazier than me, which is good. I'm not the craziest guy in the room today. This is amazing, right? Now, Arthur voted, in the world, number one
thought leader in organizational culture for 2021.
2021. Authored 13 books.
Yes, the latest one, Game On, Reinventing Organizational Culture Through Gamification. Available on Amazon today.
I love that. And obviously a best-selling author and a best-selling man. Now, gamification, right? So I remember when I first, because we're in the same group, this Bali speakers group, speakers chat, Chris Robb, if you're out there, thank you for bringing us together, right? And Janet and all the rest of the guys. Janet Hogan, if you're there, hello, darling. So, gamification. I remember when I first heard you talk about, the organizational culture and gamification, I was really confused, right? I thought, it was like going on on like a team building weekend, you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh,
I know. A team building weekend and like doing games together, like gamification, right? I thought, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, at least that's better than what people think is like playing games on their computers at work, right?
Yeah, so I was like, I just didn't get it. And I started to do a little bit of research, and I began to realize why it's so important. And even yesterday, we had this beautiful woman, on Monday, Bianca Raby of Opeda, and she's a learning designer. And there's anyway, so the way that we're taught in general, this rote learning of I'm the teacher, you're the student, shut up and listen, and just remember what I'm telling you, then we're going to test you as an exam where you vomit it out on the paper, we give you a grade, you've passed, and then you forget everything because you never understood it
in the first place.
Absolutely. Right? So then when I looked at what you're doing around gamification, then I saw and what Bianca's doing with the learning designing, and I realized, man, I'm nowhere. So please explain to people in that environment what you do with gamification and what it is.
Okay, so first of all right, gamification is not playing games, okay? It is, or at least work gamification is not playing games, all right? So let's say, for example, that you have things to do at work, like actual work, for example, okay? And let's say that part of this work requires you to essentially have cross-departmental cooperation, because that's a big thing, okay? And let's say part of that also might be innovation. You want to come up with new cutting-edge ways of doing things, right? Okay? So these are objectives. Now, okay, any kind of game essentially has an objective. Now, if you are on Instagram watching this, okay, you are being gamified by the Facebook Corporation, okay? And they are basically getting you hooked in there because, they're giving you this kind of sense of like, the more stuff that you post, the more likes you get, and the more people that watch you, and then the more people that share, and all of these really fun things, and it gives you this kind of sense of, I am valuable, okay? And it's the same thing, see, because now, let's say, for example, you've got these work things. Now you're going to take the concept of measurement, because that's what Facebook does, Instagram, all these different things. They measure. Okay, now gamification is nothing more than measurement in a systematic way that also creates diversity to make it fun and interesting.
Got it.
Okay, so basically it's like performance measurement in a non-boring way. Okay, but here's the thing, see? Okay, I mean, right now, we're in the age of instant, right? I mean, it's like you get an instant message, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to answer my Instagram, okay, or my WhatsApp, or all these different things, right? So everybody needs to, like, see it immediately. It's like, and if you don't answer, they think, oh my gosh, maybe there's something wrong, and they went into the hospital or something, and they can't access their phone, right? So what happens is that because we're impatient these days, okay, because of all this technology, we need to get much more instant emotional gratification. This is why leadership like 20 years ago is very different now, because now if you don't get your emotional gratification from the leader and the people around you, then what happens is it's no problem. You just take your phone, post a picture of a kitten on Instagram, and you're getting all the emotional gratification you need by yourself. You don't need it from the leaders, right? So what happens, because of this age of instant, you can't wait for annual reviews. You can't wait for biannual reviews. In fact, you can't even wait until you get your KPIs done, because those take a long time. I mean, it's like sometimes a month, maybe 2 months before you can actually see if you've got a freaking KPI and you're meeting it. And then by that time, you don't even know if you've met it, because you don't know how you were doing in the first place. You could have maybe changed something if you knew, if you had the feedback on the way back there, right? So what you do is you take the end result, that objective. Let's say, for example, that objective is cross-departmental cooperation. And then you basically reverse engineer what are the behaviors in order to achieve that. Now, how often do you exhibit behaviors that will eventually help you to achieve a particular goal? Every day, which means you can measure every day, which means that you can gamify the behavior measurement every day. And you can also even make it into a 360 so that the leader also gets feedback and you get feedback and you can even give feedback to each other. We even created an app called Squadly, available at squadly.com.
Oh, yeah. So a few things come up. Right, so gamify, I love that, is a way to measure, in a very precise way.
Yeah, but
right?
fun too.
But fun.
Yeah, and you know what makes it fun? Okay, so let's say, for example, you've got points. Oh, how boring is that? Okay, I mean, seriously, right? But what? And there's also the resurrection element. Okay, which is very important, right? Okay, so first of all, if you just got points and stuff like that, it's like, I mean, okay, you get a little bit of gratification, but ultimately, in order to make something fun, you have to have a theme. Okay, that theme could be something like secret agents or superheroes or manga or whatever you want to make it. Okay, but the moment you turn it into something that's themed, where it's like, oh, now you start out at the level of the sidekick, and then you move up to hero, then to superhero, then master superhero or something like that, right? And then you've got all these different things that'll help you to get there. You got keys and things, so you make it all different. It's a story. You're making a story. And this whole storyline is involved in creating the ultimate level of cross-departmental cooperation, where you are saving the world through the ability to work together across departments and make sure that, well, basically you don't waste the company's resources by not communicating.
Wow. Now what comes while you take a breath. Like what I'm getting. Like anyone who's watching this now, right? Whether you understand a word of what he just said or not. Now I understand. I was listening, but a guy like this, with this energy, with this appreciation, you can see that his mind is like a beautiful mind, Russell Crowe, right? But in reality, so. And the way that you approach it, and most people look at the corporate world and think, oh, it's a bit boring, right? So the way that you approach it is so refreshing and fresh, empowering, yet measurable, achievable, and you have fun.
Well, that's the point, right?
Yeah. So I can see why you are number one.
There you go.
Number one, 2021,
yeah.
Most influential
thought leader in organizational culture.
I get it. And so you're about to say something. Yeah.
I was going to say, okay, the resurrection part.
Yes.
Okay, right? Okay, you're playing a game. Let's just say you're like these normal games. You die. Okay? Now, the thing is that all these games, the reason, when you die, I mean, if you just die, then they wouldn't make any money because you can't do anything, you can't play the game anymore, right? So you have this resurrection. Well, it's the same thing. In any kind of an organization, here's what happens, okay? You got the people that are always going to win. Right? You got those guys that are always like doing the stuff, right? And it's like they always win. So that's really kind of really demotivating for the other people. Right? So you can't, so that's why you have to have resurrection, and you have multiple levels of measurement, not just one. Right? So this way, somebody over here that may not be the best at everything, but they're really good at maybe innovation or one thing or something like that, they can get on the list, okay? And that list maybe has got like, top 20 out of 100, okay, people, for example, okay? And even if they're like number 20, it's like, oh my gosh, I got on the list. And even though they didn't make it onto the main list, right, they figure, wow, I'm on the list. So that kind of continues that motivation, and they can go over there. And the thing is, though, that if you're behind, if you don't have a resurrection plan, well, then you're screwed because you'll stay behind, right? So resurrection means that you have to start the gamification elements, the measurement, over every week or 2 weeks, or at the worst every month, okay? But ideally every week, okay? Because that gives everybody the opportunity to start fresh and maybe this time get on the list.
That's amazing, because what's popping in is snakes and ladders. So you might think, snakes and ladders? What's that got to do with gamification, right? Can you just give me a minute to explain, right? So snakes and ladders, like I was playing with my daughters like the other day. I was all through it. So Marina, my girl, our 2 daughters who are like 6 and 5, right? Now I was probably advancing the most. I was throwing bigger numbers. So I was kind of leading, right? Now, as you're saying, like in life, we go through the same thing. Life to me is like snakes and ladders. So it's like you have a person leading. Now, when you're behind, it's hard not to get demotivated, because it's like, damn, this guy's throwing 6s and 6 and 12, and he's springing up the board. And I'm here throwing 2s and 3s and 1s. It's like, right? I'm not getting anywhere. But snakes and ladders has got resurrection inbuilt.
Really?
It's called a snake.
Uh-huh.
So what happens is you land on a snake, and that's what happened to me. I land on a snake.
And you got to start all over.
And I'm like, and these guys have got ladders.
There you go.
And that's what makes a game so interesting, and that's how you avoid being depressed. Because what happens is that at any one point in time, you might land on a ladder, and that may take you far and above anybody else. Or even when you get into maybe too cocky, at the top, which sort of happens to me.
Then you get the snake.
Then you might get the snake, and then you're going to go down again. So as it ends up, that game, I think it was Marina who ended up coming first, and the daughters, and I came fourth, which means for that particular game I came last. Fine, I came last. Fine. But here's the thing, so life is really interesting, because it gives you, snakes and ladders, gives you that way to measure, how you're doing, and ensures that you never at any one point in time really give up. Because then, you're...
That's the point. Because it keeps it going, and that's the thing. It's just like, even if you're like, just at that level, it's like, at least I've got to that point, right? So that means next time, now I've got more experience. I know what I'm supposed to do. Next time I can get more. I can get higher.
Yeah. And I mean, like, so for you, Arthur, like, again, for those people watching this now will realize that, hey, this guy is like an Energizer bunny, right? Like, he's not going to be wanting of extra energy or power at any one point in time, is the impression that you get right now. But SpeakuP Monday is also about going beneath the bonnet, right? It's not just the light stuff. So the question that comes up is that, like, have you ever felt like giving up?
Oh, yeah.
And if you did, maybe the last time, or one which comes up for you powerfully, and what did you do?
Well, I mean... well, here is this. First of all, what ultimately started on my path right now was basically this whole element of giving up, right? Okay. At one point in my life, I was $500,000 in debt, okay, which really sucked. I don't recommend it, okay? And so what happened was that I needed to get a job, right? So I got this job. It was a pretty good paying job, and I thought, okay, and you remember when you first get a job, like you're super excited, like, whoa, and you start thinking of what's gonna happen next year, and like you got this 5-year plan and all these different things, and you're excited, and you're like, wow, this is so awesome. And then about 3 weeks later, It's like, oh my gosh, everybody's blaming everybody. And I'm like, oh, what is wrong with these people? Okay, no problem. Okay. But I knew I could do some good stuff there. Okay. So I figured, all right, no problem. I come up with some cool ideas. Have you ever had cool ideas? Okay. So I come up with some cool ideas. I take them to these other department heads and I'd say, hey, I got some cool ideas. You've got some resources. I got some resources in my department. Look what the things we can do together. And it's like, they said, yeah, we understand you're new here. Okay. But look, you do your thing and, we're very busy. We'll do our thing. And I'm like, man, what is wrong with these people? But I knew I could make a difference. I knew I could. So I'm like working on this stuff. 4.5 months later, you know what happened? Without even realizing it, I started blaming people. Ooh. Okay? And then, people would come up to me and say, hey, Arthur, can you help me? I was like, look, you do your thing. I'll do my thing. I got sucked into this whole thing, right? Yeah. And I'm like in there and I how you look at some people and they just kind of seem to be lazy people in these organizations that kind of do busy work and stuff. Mm-hmm. I turned into one.
Lazy people do busy stuff.
Yeah, I was doing busy stuff and I'm like doing all this stuff and everything else and I just became this total underachiever and I felt stuck. I mean, I literally felt that my life sucked. I couldn't quit my job because I needed the money. And that was like probably the worst time. I was just like giving up for everything. And then, but you know what happened? Is I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you suck, not you, but you suck in the mirror, right? And that just kind of made me think, okay, let's go talk to these people. And you know what I found out? I found out that they were real human beings. Very unexpected. Okay? That they actually had very similar ideas and desires and passions and everything, just like me, but they also got sucked into this culture. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, so maybe it's not the people, okay? Because I was blaming them. It was because of them that my entire existence in this organization was difficult and why I couldn't succeed and everything. So it was all their fault until I finally kind of, got myself out of my own, thing and started to look at something. And so that's when I started to, since I was doing busy work, I started actually doing research with that busy work so I could fix myself and this problem in this company. And it was very selfish in the beginning, but then, eventually we ended up saving the company like 17,000 Singapore dollars a week in wastage. And then, so I wrote some articles because like I'm into PR and, personal gratification, right? And then I got on the radio and then I got on TV and then people started calling me and then I was able to quit my job and then here I am today. Dun, dun, dun.
I love that story, and the fact that it's real makes it even better. All right, so stand-up comedy, right? 'Cause I saw some of that. You do stand-up comedy.
No,
you don't.
I don't. I'm just weird that way. I'm just normally weird.
Well,
I've never done stand-up comedy ever.
Really?
I'm not that funny.
Far out. I beg to differ. I really do. Again, it's this vibe that you have, and that there are some friends of yours. Like this, I'll give you an example. My sister, right? So I was born in London, grew up in like 2 children's homes for 18 years in London, 6 months to 18. My sister was with me 1.5 years older. Now, London can be a place that can be quite depressing. Okay.
It's always raining.
It's not always raining, damn you. Though it's been 20 years since I've been there. Maybe it's changed. Right? But in summer, you have those shards of sunlight coming. Anyway, but what it is, right? So my sister is one of these people who is like, she's irreverent with her humor, meaning like she just doesn't really care. Like it's like this throwaway humor that's so funny that she doesn't even realize what she's doing. So she'll just explain to you, a trip into work on the tube, right, on the underground train going to work. But she'll say in such a way that's just so naturally funny that she doesn't even realize it. So she's had about 4 or 5 articles printed in the newspaper. Like she sent them in. Like I said, Carol, you got to send these in. And she sent them in, and sure enough, they get printed in the Evening Standard. But she's just so funny, right? And she doesn't mean to be. It's not that she sets out to be funny. She does not. It's just like for her, it's like you. It's like you see something, as you said before in your past, that you saw something so clearly, even with the organization, you saw it so clearly of like what they could do differently, and eventually it saved in 17,000 Singapore dollars a week, right? But you saw it so simply. But other people didn't see it. And for her, like, it's similar because I think, that, and this is partly what this is about, right? It's like acknowledging this wisdom within ourselves that can be shared with others in such a way that it can inspire, motivate, and sometimes remind, and sometimes resurrect.
There you go.
Right? That's a beautiful word, by the way. I'm going to use it a lot now. But yeah, and resurrect us. But sometimes you don't even realize, that you have that gift. So anyway, I'm just putting it out there. Arthur Carmazzi, on this date, whatever date it is, stand-up comedy, mate. You would kill it. You would absolutely kill it. So look, going back for you. So what's coming in? Maybe, we should do this. So your childhood, right? So you mentioned a bit about school, about not fitting in, about finding those other misfits, and you kind of band together the misfit crew, and then you kind of get past that time, and then you start to, so you ended up, $500,000 in debt. How did that happen?
Oh, well, yeah. You know how you get these really great ideas and you think, oh, this is going to make $1 billion and everything else. And of course, at that time, I was kind of an asshole. So it didn't really help. And I didn't realize it. I just thought I was just so awesome. And so because of that also made me be rather egotistical in my decision making, which didn't really support the business elements because we started this business and everything else. And I just sucked at it. And I was, all this stuff on leadership and everything else that I've developed recently is because I was just such a failure at it earlier that I've got such a great experience at sucking and being such an asshole that I know what not to do. Yeah. And that's basically why all this, we started these businesses and everything else, bought this stuff, and just ended up in massive debt.
So then now, right, so that thing about ego, right, and we all have one, and you mentioned that got you into spot of bother, as it does with most of us. But what do you do now? Because we'll get onto some of the incredible projects that you're doing. And by the way, if you don't notice, Arthur Carmazzi, #1 thought leader in
organizational culture for 2021.
Love it. 13 books, authored, and is just an amazing human being who's doing some of the most incredible developments here in Bali that I've seen in the world, actually. And I haven't even been there yet, but I've seen the pictures. Anyway, we'll get on to that. So hang on for that. But now almost lost the question I was going to ask you. There you go. So much for the side step, right? Is back. So so then, with all the work that you've done, organizational culture, you've come through the schooling system, you've found your way, you've realized that ego doesn't always work out for the best, or actually it did work out for the best because you monetized it, right? But what do you do like now? Like, how do you, maybe people watching this might say, well, how do I know when my ego is overtaking me, but into a negative or potentially negative space? How do I check? How do I know?
All right, so that's an excellent question, by the way. So first of all, see, here's the thing. When you start basically feeling that you're better than other people, okay, you're screwed. All right. I mean, ultimately, that's it, right? The thing is that, I just thought I was God's gift to everybody, and I was like, and it just makes you. Well, it makes you turn into an asshole. So the thing is that if you're the boss, people don't tell you you're an asshole, and so you don't have this feedback, right? Ultimately, I mean, the way that I found, to check is, first of all, just I mean, and this is cliche, but honestly, be grateful. Okay? Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the people around you. Be grateful for feedback that, when people tell you you're an asshole. Be grateful for whatever happens around you that you may learn from, even if it doesn't seem like it's a great thing at the time. Okay? And definitely, be grateful for the fact that you actually have an opportunity to interact with people and meet people and talk to people and just be a part of their lives, okay? Because because that is really, honestly, I think that's one of the keys to my success. Because when I stopped being an asshole, that's when or at least I thought I stopped being an asshole. You never really know, right? 'Cause then people don't tell you. But basically, that happened. That things started to change because you create relationships, even if they're superficial ones, but you still create relationships where people kind of remember in a positive way. And especially when you're trying to help people and I mean, I've got all these online programs and everything else, and and we've got like over 600 licensed directive communication psychology trainers and consultants in 28 different countries, right? But I give away all of this information, but people still come and they buy the online programs and they join as a consultant with us, and I mean and all of these things. Why? Because we support them, we help them to be successful, and it's you don't have to hold back. It's like, I had one of my friends she's very successful. She was saying, look, Arthur, you just give away too much. Don't give away everything. It's like, nah, for me, it's giving it away is fine. Okay. Because ultimately when you give stuff away, if somebody succeeds with that, they're going to remember where they got that, and they're going to come and pay it forward with you or to somebody else.
Pay it forward, it's such an important thing, because going back to that gratitude piece. So me personally, I start off in the morning with gratitude, right? Whether it's written, whether it's thought or imagined, there's gratitude there. But I also know the difficulty that there can be, and it can be a trap in itself, because sometimes, you might be in the zone of like, I know that I need to be grateful. You might do the right things that you believe gratitude means, but you're not really feeling it. But you do it because this is part of the system. To be successful, I've got to have gratitude. So, at its finest level, that comes up for you, how would you truly describe gratitude?
Wow. Well, okay. First of all, I'm grateful for things I don't have as well, right? Okay. I'm grateful that I don't have COVID. Yeah. All right? And there's things you take for granted, right? Okay, so for example, we have this castle in Ubud, right? And normally, we have like guests and stuff stay there and everything else, but now it's COVID, right? So now there's no guests, which also means that part of the business is basically not making any money, but there's still the expenses. But what else can it mean? See, if just by asking that simple question, what's cool about that is, like, I still live in a castle, I still live in Bali, and now, I get to sleep in different rooms every day. Okay? And you get to still, there's always a question that you can ask to make you think, wow, yeah, that's actually pretty good. Just ask the question.
So I was interviewing a friend, Richard Harrington, and Richard Harrington is starting this Freedom Day Bali. A really cool guy, South African, 24 years of age, retired, featured in Forbes, but just an incredible human being, right? And so yesterday we were having this Clubhouse chat, Tuesday morning, 7 a.m., SpeakuP Monday on Clubhouse. Watch it, listen to it. So I love that. So one thing is like a 3-step process for him, which is, and I love this process actually. So like the first step is about, we might be in a victim mindset, right? I can't do this because I'm not enough. Now, this victim mindset is almost a case of saying, well, the affirmations, the visualization, these focusing, because what you focus on expands, right? So what is it? Where attention goes, energy flows, and results follow. So you might be deep in debt, but you don't focus on the debt.
Right.
You focus on, like, how can I create income? What can I do to create income? So I'm not forgetting the debt, but how can I create? Now, I can relate to this very personally as well, by the way. And so it's like, well, okay, so I need to focus on how can I create? And one of the ways of that is called empowering questions. So asking yourself an empowering question, because at the end of the day, this filing cabinet that we have, we call a brain, right, has this filing cabinet, usually in the past, of all these files of things that maybe haven't worked, right? And why they can't work? But it also has this beautiful mechanism of when you ask an empowering question, it's duty bound and compelled to find the answer.
Absolutely.
Right? So if I'm going through a shit situation, and I said that word, not apologizing, right? I said that word. It's like, why does this happen? Why does this keep on happening to me? And your brain is like, all right.
You keep on asking that question.
Sure. Here's why you're an asshole.
Yeah.
You're egotistical. You don't learn. You don't listen, and no one likes you. Anything else? Because you keep asking yourself the wrong question.
Right.
Whereas
Absolutely.
if you ask yourself an empowering question of something like, just off the top of my head, why is it that I always find a way to make income? Or, why is it that in the hardest situations, I find something so powerful that it brings me and those around me up, like all ships rise with the tide, or how can I create X, so that empowering question.
Absolutely. And I mean, I can totally relate to that because, on so many of my projects, I've tried to get fundraising. Right? And that's one of the things that I'm really bad at, apparently, because I've never been able to get fundraising for anything. Okay, I totally suck at it. So what instead is I come up with these other ways to fund it. Yeah. So I get money to fund it, and then they work. And then I'm so glad that I didn't get a partner because and I would have had to share, right? But it's the same thing, and and there's like because because I want to build an empire, so my projects get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So I mean, right now we're carving into this big giant stone mountain, the ancient lost city of Lemuria. Dun dun dun. And so we've got that. I mean, that's a huge project, and it's like the land was crazy expensive. But the thing is that when I first started, it's like, oh, okay, there was no problem, and then COVID came. It's like, oh shit, okay, and so then I started to try to get some stuff, some investors, and I couldn't do it. Okay, but then what else happened was, okay, let's focus on what I can do to make money to keep it going, okay, and start building it. So now we've got, it's really cool. It's getting there.
So people here who are not in Bali now, so I want you to plug your heart, Arthur. I want you to plug exactly Lemuria. I want to plug that project. So how can people look at it online? And then I want to ask you to explain what it is.
Okay, Lemuria.asia.
You better spell it.
Lemuria. Okay, you might remember the spelling thing.
That's right.
LEMURIA.
Beautiful.
Okay, .asia. ASIA.
Love it.
Okay.
Lemuria.asia. So if you're like next to a computer, type that in. It will blow your F-bomb mind. Okay. Now, so what is it, and what inspired you to do it?
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean, if you're going to do something cool. All right. So first of all, I mean, I've got Avalon, right? Now, Avalon is like the current resort. It's carved into this volcanic stone mountain. And Lemuria is actually this part of the same mountain. It's just right next door. Okay. So
wait, Avalon is?
Oh, Avalon is my castle.
Okay. So castle. Arthur lives in a castle in Ubud. It's called Avalon. So there's a website for that?
Yeah. Avalon Villas.
Ooh, Avalon.villas.
Yes.
All right, so check that out.
Okay.
Avalon.villas. Beautiful.
There you go. Okay, so anyway, with so the idea is that because like in Avalon we've got all these secret passages, we got like trap doors and all kinds of really cool stuff, right? So I mean and it's cool. I mean it's carved into this stone mountain, like the rooms and stuff, right? So it's always full before COVID. And so then what happened was we figured like, okay, well, we've got this opportunity to buy this land, even though it was expensive, but okay, it's so we bought this land right next door. And now this whole thing is about it's not an accommodation place. It is literally a space. Wow, how do we explain it? Okay, so well, basically it's a tourist attraction, but it's much more than that. It's actually like Petra, okay?
Ooh, I love Petra.
Where we've got this big giant stone cliff, and the cliff is 13 meters high, and we're carving the entire face. It's 22 meters across, 13 meters high, 54 meters deep, the stone, and we're carving these chambers, these secret chambers, which you have to kind of find and go in, and of course there's the whole story behind it, and how the ancient Lemurian elders had created these different chambers to basically test the ability of people to be illuminated enough to change the world for the better. Wow. And so the first chamber, the power of love. The second chamber, the fountain of gratitude. The third chamber, the hall of heroes. And finally, they get to the dragon throne with the 4 dragons that basically support changing the world. As they leave, as finally they get out, then there it is, the giant face of Lemuria right on the river, and then all kinds of other commercial things that go with it, like zip lines and little river things and stuff.
You know what? That was really well described, man. Like, I got excited from your description, which is important because these guys over here, and here, and there, and there, and there, and maybe not here in Bali, so maybe they won't get a chance to feel it hand to hand, right? Feel it. But with the words that you used and the enthusiasm with which you said it, like you get that sense of, I've got to go and check this place out, right? So that's super cool. So Avalon.villas, and it's Lemuria.asia.
That's right.
Right? So got to check this out. You guys, you got to just do it. Check it out. Calm down, breathe.
There you go.
All right. So, but this leads me on, right? So, and I've never asked you this question, but anyway, we've never really spoken. So all these things I never asked you. So there you go. What is it that drives you? Why do you do what you do? And is there a mission for you?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, the mission is very simple: global domination, but in a good way, right? I mean, ultimately, think about it. Okay, it's legacy, right? Yeah. You want to leave something behind, and something that other people are going to benefit from. Right? And, it's not just about like my kids, benefiting, or my family benefiting. It's like about, making a global impact. And Lemuria, for example, even though it's not, it is literally, it's art. It's carved into this mountain, right? And everything else. But even though it's art, and you have to find the secrets to, gratitude, and you have to find the secrets to, love and the meaning of love and all these different things. So it's this learning journey that literally helps you to kind of be a better person, right? And of course, all of the work that I've done with Colored Brain, and which coloredbrain.com, okay, and directive communication psychology, and all of these licensees that are out there, they're perpetuating this, around the world, okay, and that ability to basically take the things that you have manifested in your brain, and helping others to make money from it and spread it at the same time while doing good in the world. you know, it's a kind of feels good, right? I mean, it's so you know, you're making money and you're helping people and you're kind of, you know, getting your ego filled because people think, wow, this stuff is so cool, and so you got this whole thing where, I mean, it's just, you know, it's just cool.
Yeah, man, love that. And where does it come from?
Wow. Yeah, you know, I guess a lot of that also comes from my childhood, where basically people said I would never achieve anything, and it's like, yeah, basically, yeah.
F-bomb you. You heard it here.
So
he said F-bomb you. Unbelievable. It's a kids program, skid show. Got kids, take them away. No, bring them out.
No, seriously. I mean, you know, you have this whole thing where, you know, you still have this little voice, and, you know, it's like, no way, man. I mean, it's, you know, and even though that's a horrible thing to say, because it's like, you know, it's got to be more pure than that. But I mean, also, I mean, let's just be honest. That is a real thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's, you know, I'd love to be one of these altruistic people that's like all good and everything. But, you know, no, I'm like a normal human being. I like money, okay, and I also, but I still want to make an impact, you know, and I still want to be known for it. I mean, I'm not like these, you know, like people that just, you know, are anonymous and do all these good things and everything. I'm not that good. Okay, I want to be known. I want people to know me. I want people to go, "Oh, Arthur Carmazzi's so cool." Okay, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
You know, like there was, it's an interesting thing, isn't it, when we're, you know, young kids, and maybe depending how we're brought up, when people are showing off, there's this tendency to pull them down. We call it tall poppy syndrome, right? But pull them down, whereas in actual fact, it's like, you know, like, yeah, like they're in their greatness, right? They're in their greatness, and through doing what they do, it's like watching Usain Bolt. I don't know why it came into, I think I was talking about him earlier on, the Jamaican sprinter, right? You know, when he's sprinting and he's breaking world records and he's smashing competition and all the rest of that, he's in his greatness, man. And watching that is inspiring in itself. I mean, watching The Last Dance, Michael Jordan, being a basketball player, former basketball player, I guess you could say. You know, again, you know, like watching that, it's inspiring. Yet many people think he was an asshole, right? Because his work ethic was that, on that level, that he pissed more people off than people even know about, right? But that's what it took. You know, even my ex-business partner is not really my ex-business partner. It's been 20 years. Like, you know, some people, you know, with him call him that, but he's brilliant at what he does, and we managed to have a business voted number 3 in the world because of his insight. Right? My skills, his skills, but his insight. So it's leveraging the best of us to create something that is memorable and a legacy. So I love where you're coming from, you know, with that. And, you know, like, so for those people watching here, I think it's really important to hear that too, because quite often we feel maybe that, you know, I'm shining too brightly.
Well, you know, I got a thing for that. Okay, see, a lot of this is where a lot of people have a ceiling that they don't realize. Okay, because their mom told them don't show off, and the interpretation of that is don't shine too bright. But that's not what your mom meant. Okay. At least I don't think so. Okay, so here's my take. Okay, because first of all, I mean, even Mother Teresa needed to basically feel, hey, I can do much more than just one village, right? Okay, so she had to have this kind of sense of importance and recognition, even if it was not in. She didn't necessarily want to get recognized, but she knew she could do more, right? So she wasn't settling for like one village. She wanted to do big things, right? And just like anybody that's ever done anything big, you have to have that desire to shine, to do bigger things, right? Not just the average things, okay? So what your mom meant was not don't show off. What your mom actually meant was don't make other people small in your greatness. I'll use your word because I like that.
Yeah, love that, Arthur. What a great distinction. You know, and getting back to Richard Harrington again, Freedom Day Bali, July the 1st, SpeakuP Monday, the first time we've collaborated like this. SpeakuP Monday, July the 1st, it's called Freedom Day Bali. look out for it. It's coming. So these 3-step process, right? The first one is, so it's about, or rewiring your limiting beliefs, through journaling, stuff we know, journaling, visualization, affirmation, right? But then you get to a place of manifesting where things are starting to happen, money's starting to come in, opportunities are coming. In that stage, it's surrendering, not the step before, because surrendering to your current situation, problems, challenges, not that. But this is when you're in manifestor, so things are moving, and you're surrendering to that energy. Why? Because step 3 is about realizing that life is flowing through you, that you're a vessel, right? So surrendering to that wants to be created is such a beautiful distinction, man. And like, he's probably the first one that put it like that for me anyway, that I've heard in a really clear way. I think it's beautiful. But what comes up for you when I say that?
Well, ultimately the energy that you have is going to determine the direction and the potential success. Okay? And that, so I guess, the flow element that you're talking about, is still about your energy, right? And sometimes people have to fight against their own chemistry. Okay? You have an enzyme called P300.
Okay.
All right? And P300 is basically going to determine how optimistic you are.
Wow.
All right? Now, there are those people, generally like me and probably you, we've got like an overabundance of P300, which can sometimes get us into a whole bunch of trouble. Okay? Because yeah, sure, it'll work. Okay?
Too many projects.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and then there's those that basically is like, don't have any P300 or very little, and it's like, what's the point? The world will probably end tomorrow anyway, so why should we bother? Okay, and then of course you've got everybody in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So see, sometimes, you've got people that appear to be downers. It's not their fault. It's their chemistry. And those people actually can force themselves into a higher level of optimism if they are aware. See, but the problem is that most of the time they're not aware, and then they get judged for it. Yeah. Right? And so therefore, and then there's people that, that take it for granted. And it's like, it's like you're on drugs all the time. And I've been accused of that. So you've got like these things, and people are thinking, oh my gosh, what kind of drugs are you on, man? And I actually, in high school, they actually sent me to the office. I had to call my parents and get my parents to explain that I don't do drugs. It was horrible. It's like, because I've got this whole anti-drug thing, man. They kind of, made me into like no smoking, no drinking, no drugs. I was like into this whole thing, right? And then they accused me of it. Okay, so you've got this whole element of flow and surrender and everything else, but ultimately, it really depends on your chemistry half the time. Some people can't surrender that easily. They just can't. It just doesn't. It doesn't work in their brain. So people that don't have a lot of P300 have a much more difficult time to surrender. But being aware can help that. Okay? And so if there are people right now that basically feel that you're not that optimistic, it's okay, because it's not your fault. Okay? And what ends up happening is that this element of kind of surrendering and being better and moving forward and going into bigger things, it's just a matter of understanding that you're fighting against your own chemistry. and it's okay because you can win. Okay. See, the thing is that if you go into the whole element of neuroscience and everything, there's this thing called neuroplasticity. Now, you don't have the chemical that makes you kind of excited, but you do have the ability to create new habits and new perspectives. Okay. Now, what I was talking about earlier, like colored brain, where you've got the different processes, okay, that's a totally different thing. See, that's also a genetic factor. It deals with the amount of neurotransmitters, okay? It's kind of like a recipe, right? So more sugar in a cake will make the cake, or more eggs in a cake, or more butter in a cake will make the cake itself different, right? So with the colored brain or the ambiguity relief process, the amount of neurotransmitters determines the process by which your brain gets clarity. It's not your behavior. See, I mean, you can be a green brain that's chaotic processing, and then a red brain with linear processing, and both of them you could be analyzing. Both people could be analyzing things, but the process of how they would do it is totally different. So neuroplasticity, or the ability to literally create new habits, okay, is going to be largely affected by the people you hang out with.
Wow.
Okay, so and I mean, it's nothing new, right? I mean, people, your mom's told you, okay, your friends are gonna determine what kind of person you are, or something like that. Yeah. Okay, it's true. It's true. Okay, you hang around people that also have low P300. Guess what? Okay, you're gonna just be depressed, and you're not gonna be able to get stuff done, and you're gonna like, oh my gosh, see, everybody else is with me. But then you get somebody like us or something, the Energizer Bunnies, and and you kind of hang out with people like us, and and then you're like kind of increasing in your energy and stuff, and things change. So who you hang out with, the environment that you create. Okay, remember, okay, you probably have friends, right? Okay, out there, whoever you are. Okay, so if you've got friends, what's happening is that one group of friends you're gonna have this certain way of behaving, right? And then you've got maybe another group of friends. You probably have a different group of friends that you literally have different behaviors with. And then you've got maybe your family, and you have different behaviors. And then you've got work, and you have different behaviors. Each environment literally brings out different facets of who you are. Yeah. But the thing is that when you are in control of the environment, you are in control of the feedback that you're getting, which also affects how you act and react to that feedback.
Yeah, so I have absolutely heard and understood to a certain extent about who you hang out with is who you become. And the good old one is that, the incomes of the 5 people you hang out with, you'll be the average, and all that stuff. But I've never heard it explained with that P300 in there, and it gives another dimension to the whole thing, and it makes even more sense, right? And that, for some people watching this, could be that little, because it's one thing can change our lives.
Absolutely.
Hearing one thing, one connection, one word, one instance or one incident, can change your life. And to me, that's one of those ones. I mean, in this conversation we had, which I'm loving, by the way, this conversation that we've been having, what I feel is that there have been so many of those nuggets of wisdom, right, which have come out. So if you're watching here at home, Arthur Carmazzi is who you're watching now, right? And for the last time, I want him to say he is in the world for 2021 the #1 most influential thought leader in
organizational culture. Dun, dun, dun!
Love it. So, and the one thing that comes up right now is this kind of understanding that we as a species, right, humankind, we're on this planet. There's things we're doing which is doing great, things we're doing which is not doing so great. But what we kind of realize is that, I have a mission, or there's a mission within me to positively impact or create a positive shift in the minds of 1 billion people, directly or indirectly, doesn't matter. And, what I found is that one of the most And that's also why, what I do is that I help entrepreneurs, leaders is anyone, by the way. Leaders, if you're a leader in your field, no matter how big or small, you're a leader. A mum is a leader. Like, it's not like being a massive leader, but entrepreneurs, leaders, and coaches, to help them turn their story into impact and income, is because part of how that can happen is by impacting the impactors, or by influencing the influencers, those who influence large numbers of people. But the number one, most effective way to influence people in a positive direction is through organizations.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one thing, just little goose pimples there. That's one thing that I love about what you're doing, because, however long it's been, an hour or whatever it's been, has been fascinating for me, because, not only am I learning stuff, good stuff, but I'm getting to know you on a deeper level and what makes you tick, and like filling in the blanks or the blank boxes which I saw before. But ultimately, I think one of the most valuable things that you have to offer through being the person that you are, the world of Arthur Carmazzi, right? Arthur F. Carmazzi, is that this ability, power, opportunity to uplift, inspire, and move so many people with what you do and who you are.
Well, that's actually part of our mission statement. I mean, see, the thing is that there's roughly about maybe 3% of the world's population that actually goes for personal development. Okay, maybe it's increased a little bit. I don't know. But the thing is that the rest of the people are kind of in the status quo, and they all have jobs, okay, or something. Okay, well, probably, what we do, okay, and the way that, and this whole point of what, we've done is that we're helping these people to get access to these different levels of personal development through their organization, okay, so that they can personally be successful through their companies. And of course, their companies benefit from it at the same time, because they're more productive, they're more creative, they're more innovative, they come up with better ideas, and they're basically more successful in the organization, which of course makes the organization more successful. So it's this whole kind of circle of things, and so that's one of the things about DC psychology that we've had actually since the beginning. That was kind of the mission statement, is that we are helping these people that would otherwise never seek to be helped.
Love that, man. I love that, man. I can talk to you for hours, mate.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't. People are getting bored.
So look, I don't know how long we've been speaking, but let me check.
1 hour and 6 minutes.
Oh, man. I think it's a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
So look. So what we're going to do? We're going to do this again. Right, and we're going to do this. So as you know, SpeakuP Monday has 3 streams at the moment, which actually, as my partner Marina, my girl, told me the other day, Rob, it's a bit confusing, because you've got SpeakuP Monday on Monday, SpeakuP Monday on Tuesday.
That was weird.
That technically is SpeakuP Monday in America, because it's like Monday 7 a.m., Tuesday morning is 4 p.m. on Monday afternoon in the US, right? That's West Coast, and 7 p.m. East Coast. But then we do this one, which is like nowhere near Monday in any part of the world.
I know.
It's a bit confusing. So look, yeah, it's a bit confusing. But look, the idea is that SpeakuP Monday, right, is all about how to, take a deep dive, open format Q&A, and unlock inspiration, motivation for whoever's listening, including the guests, right, and including me too. So that's the idea, and it's like the feeling is like, why limit it to just Monday? Why limit it to just? But then instead of calling it SpeakuP Monday, Tuesday, SpeakuP Wednesday, SpeakuP Thursday, SpeakuP Friday, we thought, you know what? We just keep it as SpeakuP Monday, and just whatever. If people are confused, they'll work it out eventually.
Yeah.
Who cares?
They think they're late. But it's okay, because they still got the opportunity, to get SpeakuP Monday on a Wednesday. And they should feel grateful and gratitude for it. Absolutely.
But you know what, like that. So what's going to happen is that, the Clubhouse version that we do with a different guest on the Tuesday, 7 a.m. Bali time, GMT +8, or as I mentioned, 1600 West Coast PST, and like, so was it 1400? That's right. And then 3 hours later, so 1700 on the East Coast. Phew, that's it. So basically, what we're going to do is that we're going to combine those two. So we're going to have we have to do it through Zoom, I think. So we'll do through Zoom into Instagram Live, but also connecting live to Clubhouse. So that's what we're going to do. We're trying to figure out how to do it, but we got an idea. So ideally, in the next few weeks, it will become a lot less confusing. Though I still think we are going to have some other. Cause I just can't stop. Right, this is our second one.
Let's have a SpeakuP Monday on Saturday.
I just can't stop, and I love doing this. Right, it's something which I'm passionate about. It's been 2.5 years every Monday, but now it's not only on Monday, but every Monday it's been for 2.5 years, and so I love doing it. But anyway, the point I was trying to make was that so the way that we close the show is with the guest, and you are the guest. So what happens is that in about a minute and a half's time, or probably 2 minutes by the time I finish speaking, we ask you to close the show with, and there's no limit on time, but it could be something that you want to reiterate of what you've said already, or it might be something new that just came up, or something that you just love to say, right? And then we close the show with that. So that's about a minute and a half. So you've got a minute and a half to think about it. So in the meantime, to you guys here, there, and there. So thank you so much for joining us. It's not over yet, but I just want to, acknowledge you. Remember, SpeakuP Monday. So SpeakuP is one word. SpeakuP Monday group on Facebook. Join that group if you haven't joined it. There's a SpeakuP Monday on Instagram, which is more of just telling you what's on. It's not really a community there. It's more on Facebook. And then obviously YouTube. So Robert Ian Bonnick, my name, / or forward, whatever you want to call it, a dash, minus sign, SpeakuP Monday. You'll find it on YouTube. So join these streams to find out what's happening and when. And then, as I mentioned before, we have a special SpeakuP Monday, first time we've done it, coming up on the 1st of July. And it's SpeakuP Monday, which is hosting an event that will be global. And this event is called Freedom Day. So there'll be a Freedom Day in Bali, and then a Freedom Day in, I think it's 12 different countries. So Bali's one, representing Indonesia. And then on the 1st of each month will be a different country. And this is the brainchild of a guy called Richard Harrington, who's an amazing, incredible individual, South African, retired at 24, just a beautiful human being, right? And we're assisting with that one by hosting the first one here in Bali. That's mainly online, but you can come to Tropical Nomad, be part of the studio audience for, I think, 2 or 3 hours. We're going to get into the methodology behind setting yourself free. It's really powerful stuff. He's been featured in Forbes and all the rest of that. Now, I want to give special thanks to Tropical Nomad. Today we have Guzman by himself, just locking it down, baby. Thank you, my brother Guzman and Itchy and the guys here. The guys are obviously at Tomorrow Group. Thank you very much as well. Tomorrow Gallery, which is where you'll find me Monday, Wednesday, Friday at least. So thank you guys as well. And lastly, I just want to thank my guest, brother. You are now a brother, okay? Because after we do this, we become a brother or we become a sister.
There you go.
That's how we roll.
Well, I'll stick with the brother.
Brother,
Sister's
okay.
probably not.
So, brother Arthur F. Carmazzi, my man, I can't wait to do a SpeakuP Monday on Monday with the live studio audience, which we do every Monday, 6:30 here at Tropical Nomad. It will be within the next couple of months, and I look forward to having a conversation like this with you for other people to interact publicly as well. That would be amazing. So yeah, just thank you for being you. Thank you for being this amazing human being, this amazing soul and spirit on the planet, which is inspiring the hell out of me, and I'm sure you're inspiring the hell out of other people as well. So my brother, over to you to close the show.
All right. So, we started the show with, talking a little bit about gamification. So here's an idea. All right. Whenever it doesn't have to be work. So, for example, we gamified my kids to write their books. All right. You can gamify elements of your relationship. So, whenever you are creating little bits of measurement and you're kind of, creating these themes and everything else, you can literally gamify all parts of your life, including your own personal success. So I just kind of want you to look at this from an idea of being a little bit creative, okay? How can you measure? How can you theme it, okay? What are the behaviors that basically will help you to achieve the goals, reverse engineering the goals into the behaviors that will help you to have better relationships, better children, better parents, all of these different things. So it doesn't matter what part of your life. You want to have better friends, you can gamify that too, okay? And create these different environments that are going to help you to be more successful. So I just want you to think about what you can do in measurement, in theming, and in ultimately reaching the objectives through the reverse engineered behaviors that are going to help you to achieve what you want to achieve. So this is Arthur Carmazzi and
Robert Ian Bonnick, RIB. And how do people contact you, actually? I want to say
how do they
that.
contact me?
Yeah.
Look me up on Google.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, no, but okay, easier way, you can, okay, my private email address, Arthur C, okay, at Carmazzi.net. So we put the C in there so not everybody can figure it out, right? So it's Arthur C at Carmazzi.net. Carmazzi with a CARMAZZI.
Beautiful.
And I even say, .net with an N-E-N-T.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Love it, man.
N-E-T. Just T, no N.
Oh, but you did great with the spelling.
Yeah, I can spell my own name. Yes, that one I got down.
Live. So, guys, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you very, very soon. Lots of love from us.
All right.
To you. Thank you very much.
Bye.